The grand chamber of the Galactic Council gleamed under the light of 3 artificial suns. Massive pillars of polished stone rose from the floor to the distant ceiling, where holographic displays showed the movements of 10,000 worlds. In the center of the chamber, hundreds of representatives from different species sat in rising circular tiers, their voices a quiet mix of clicks, whistles, and words as they waited for the emergency session to begin. Tom Miller, Earth's ambassador, sat quietly in the visitors' gallery. His simple black suit stood out among the elaborate robes and ceremonial armor worn by other species. He pulled out his tablet, checking the latest updates from home, while maintaining the calm expression that had become his trademark in the past 5 years. The first speaker, a tall being with silver skin who everyone called White, raised all 4 of their hands for silence. This emergency session will now begin. We face a crisis that threatens the peace of 3 sectors. Holograms appeared in the center of the chamber, showing 2 massive fleets facing each other. The ships of the Bronze Federation glowed orange in the display, while the vessels of the Star Kingdom appeared in deep purple. The Bronze Federation claims the Star Kingdom has violated trade agreements in the Outer Rim. White continued. The Star Kingdom accuses the Federation of supporting pirates. Both sides have mobilized their fleets. We must find a solution before. Have they entered Earth's space yet? The question came from Council Elder Green, one of the oldest members present. The ancient alien's crystalline body trembled as they stood, faceted eyes reflecting the light in rainbow patterns. White paused. No, they are still 3 sectors away from Earth's territory. The humans are not involved in this dispute. Then there's still time. Green's voice carried a trace of fear that made several council members shift uncomfortably. We must stop this before the humans take notice, before they decide to help. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Tom Miller continued taking notes, his expression unchanged. The humans are not a factor in this conflict, said a representative from the Bronze Federation. They are barely space-capable by our standards. Their ships still use chemical rockets for some functions. They don't even have proper gravity control. Green's crystalline form flashed with patterns of deep red. You fool, don't you read history? Haven't you studied the archives? The ancient alien gestured with one limb, and new holograms appeared. They showed Earth's history, centuries of conflicts, strategies, and wars that made several council members recoil. The humans are the only known species to fight wars of total mobilization. Green continued. The only ones who developed military strategy before reaching space. The only ones who turned their entire planets into war machines when threatened. But they seemed so peaceful, someone whispered. Tom Miller smiled slightly as he continued taking notes. They are peaceful because they choose to be. Green's voice rose. Not because they must be. There is a difference that none of you understand. When humans fight, they don't follow the rules of civilized warfare. They don't stop when honor is satisfied. They use every advantage, every trick, every terrible strategy that their creative minds can imagine. The chamber fell silent as Green activated one final hologram. It showed Earth, a beautiful blue-green world. That planet, Green said softly, is the only world in known space where multiple species fought for dominance before one emerged victorious. The only planet where the dominant species survived multiple extinction events through sheer determination. When humans fight, they don't fight for honor or resources or territory. They fight to win, at any cost. White leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Elder? I am not suggesting. I am begging. Green turned to face the representatives of both warring factions. Resolve this dispute quickly. Because if those humans decide this conflict threatens them or their allies, they will end it for us. And none of us will like their methods. In the gallery, Tom Miller closed his tablet and stood up quietly. As he walked toward the exit, he could feel hundreds of alien eyes following him. The soft sound of his shoes on the polished floor echoed in the complete silence of the chamber. The warning had been delivered. Now all they could do was wait. After the council session, 3 junior representatives hurried to the Great Archive. Their steps echoed through the massive library that held the collected knowledge of the galaxy. They had to understand why Elder Green feared the humans so much. "Found it," called out Blue, his tentacles waving as he activated a historical display. First contact with Earth, 50 years ago. The hologram showed the first alien ship landing in a place called New York. The headlines from Earth's news sources scrolled past. "We are not alone. Aliens make contact. Humanity joins the stars. They seem so happy to meet us," said Red, her scaled skin shifting colors with curiosity. "Their leaders signed friendship treaties. They traded with us. Why would Elder Green be afraid?" "Look deeper," said Gray, the 3rd representative. His mechanical eyes whirred as he accessed more records. "Here's the Council's first evaluation of Earth." The display changed, showing official reports. Primitive FTL technology. No gravity control. Limited energy weapons. Restricted to 1 solar system. Recommendation: deny full council membership. They were rated as a level 2 civilization. Blue noted, barely space capable. But wait, look at this section. Special notes on military history. The 3 representatives fell silent as new images appeared. Tanks rolling across continents, ships fighting through storms, aircraft dropping weapons that turned cities to ash, soldiers fighting in deserts, jungles, and frozen wastelands. "This can't be right," Red whispered. These records show they were fighting wars while still using combustion engines and chemical weapons. "Most species develop warfare after reaching space," Gray said. "It's natural to fight when you meet other civilizations. But humans, they fought themselves." Blue brought up more recent records. "Look at their response when pirates attacked their first colony ship 20 years ago." The hologram showed a small fleet of Earth ships, simple vessels, clumsy by council standards. The pirates had better technology, better weapons, better shields. "The pirates should have won easily," Red said. "Keep watching." The Earth ships split up. Some released clouds of metal debris, creating navigation hazards. Others launched primitive nuclear missiles, technology most species abandoned centuries ago. The pirates, expecting energy weapons, had no defenses against kinetic impacts. They used their weakness as a weapon, Gray realized. Their primitive technology was actually an advantage because it was unexpected. Blue accessed another file. Here's a report from their first trade dispute. The Unity Corporation tried to bully Earth out of the Titan mining rights. The records showed how Earth responded, not with military force, but with a coordinated campaign of economic warfare, information control, and diplomatic pressure. Within months, Unity Corporation's stock value had dropped by half. "They don't just fight with weapons," Red said. "They fight with economics, information, culture, everything they have. And they never stop learning." Gray highlighted a section of data. "Every time they face a new challenge, they adapt, add new strategies, find new ways to win." The 3 representatives stared at the final display. It showed Earth's military response times compared to other species. Most civilizations took weeks or months to mobilize for war. Earth could go from peace to full military action in days. "Now I understand why Elder Green is worried," Blue said quietly. "The Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom fight like proper civilized beings. They follow the rules of war, show their strength, prove their honor. But humans," Red's scales turned pale, "if they get involved, they won't care about rules or honor," Gray finished. "They'll just want to end the conflict, and they'll use any method that works." A new alert flashed across their displays. 3 human observers had been killed in a border skirmish between the warring fleets. "It's starting," Blue whispered. The 3 representatives looked at each other in growing fear. They had seen the history. They knew what was coming. Somewhere in the Great Archive, a clock was ticking down to humanity's response. and no one in the galaxy was ready for what would happen when that clock reached zero. The news of the destroyed civilian transport spread through the Council faster than light itself. The ship had been caught in crossfire between Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom forces, splitting apart in seconds. 27 passengers dead, 3 of them human observers. In the Council's communication center, operators watched their screens with growing dread. Everyone waited for Earth's response. It came exactly 1 hour after the incident. A single message, sent on all frequencies. To the Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom. From Earth Central Command. Subject: Recent border incident. You have 72 hours to reach a peaceful resolution. Regards, Admiral James Walker, Earth Defense Force. The message's simplicity caused more panic than any threat could have. Council members rushed to emergency meetings. Military analysts argued about hidden meanings. Diplomats tried to decode the implications. "That's it?" asked First Speaker White, staring at the message. No demands, no threats, no list of consequences. Elder Green's crystalline form pulsed with worried colors. "You still don't understand, humans. This isn't a diplomatic message. It's a warning shot." In the Council's military analysis chamber, experts from both warring factions dismissed the threat. "Earth has exactly 42 warships," said the Bronze Federation's general, his metallic scales gleaming. "We each have over 400. Their technology is decades behind ours. Their weapons are simple kinetic devices and nuclear warheads," added the Star Kingdom's admiral, her energy form flickering with confidence. "Our shields can handle such primitive attacks easily." Elder Green, watching from the corner, spoke softly. "You're counting their ships, their weapons, their technology. You should be counting the hours." The general laughed. "What can they possibly do in 72 hours? Ask the Unity Corporation," Green replied. "When they threatened Earth's mining rights, humans crashed their stock value in less time than that. Ask the pirates who thought Earth ships were easy targets. The humans wiped out their entire network in 2 days." In the diplomatic chamber, representatives from minor powers watched the situation with growing concern. They had studied Earth's history too. They knew what happened to those who ignored human warnings. Hour by hour, tension built throughout Council space. The Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom continued their military buildup, each believing their advanced technology would protect them from any human response. At the 48-hour mark, Earth's ambassador Tom Miller attended a council session. He sat quietly in his usual spot, reading reports on his tablet. Several representatives tried to ask him questions. He smiled politely and said nothing. "Surely Earth understands this is not their concern," the Bronze Federation's diplomat said during his speech. "This conflict is between our powers alone." Miller looked up from his tablet briefly, made eye contact with the diplomat, then went back to reading. The diplomat's translator reported that their heart rate had doubled in those few seconds. As the deadline approached, Elder Green called an emergency session. "You have 24 hours left," they announced to the warring factions. "I beg you one last time. Make peace. Or what?" challenged the Star Kingdom's representative. What could Earth possibly do? Green's crystalline form darkened. "Did you know that in Earth's history there was a phrase, 'Remember Pearl Harbor'? One surprise attack led them to rebuild their entire society for war in days. They called it awakening the sleeping giant." The chamber fell silent. "You're not poking the sleeping giant," Green continued. "You're provoking one that's wide awake and watching you carefully. And if you don't solve this in..." They checked the time. 23 hours and 42 minutes. "You'll learn why even Earth's allies fear making them angry." As if to emphasize the point, a new message arrived from Earth, even shorter than the first. 2340:00 remaining. Regards, Admiral James Walker. In the visitors' gallery, Tom Miller finally put away his tablet and stood up. As he walked to the exit, he stopped briefly beside Elder Green. "Just so you know," he said quietly, "our ship started moving 18 hours ago." Green's crystalline form paled to pure white. The countdown continued. When the 72-hour deadline expired, both the Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom had dismissed Earth's warning. Their massive fleets still faced each other across disputed space, weapons charged, shields ready. Nothing happened in the first hour after the deadline. See, the Bronze Federation's general laughed in the council chamber. Empty threats. At exactly 1 hour and 1 minute past the deadline, every communication system in both fleets shut down simultaneously. Their advanced quantum networks, subspace channels, and backup systems all went dark. Panic spread through the Council Observation Center as they watched the situation unfold. The Federation and Kingdom fleets couldn't even talk to their own ships anymore. "Impossible," whispered the Star Kingdom's technology expert. "Our communications are unhackable. We use quantum encryption." Elder Green shook their crystalline head. "You protected against advanced attacks. The humans used simple radio waves to overwhelm your receivers. Sometimes the oldest weapons work best." On the main display, hundreds of small objects appeared around both fleets. Simple satellites, broadcasting on all frequencies, creating so much noise that no signal could get through. "Primitive but effective," noted First Speaker White. "Like using a flashlight to blind someone with night vision goggles." The next stage started 5 minutes later. Small, unmanned Earthships appeared at the edges of both fleets. They didn't attack. They simply started dumping huge clouds of metallic debris into space. "What are they doing?" demanded the Federation General. "That's not even a weapon." "Look again," Elder Green said quietly. The debris clouds were expanding, filling the space between and around the warring fleets. Tiny pieces of metal, moving at high speeds, too small to trigger shield systems designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, but more than enough to damage sensitive equipment. "They're not trying to destroy our ships," the Kingdom's admiral realized with horror. "They're creating a navigation hazard. We can't move without risking damage from that debris field." Both fleets were effectively trapped, unable to communicate or maneuver safely, and that's when the main Earth fleet arrived. 42 ships, just as the reports had said. But they didn't approach like a normal military force. They split into small groups, each operating independently, each using different tactics. Some launched old-style nuclear missiles, their paths hidden in the debris field until the last second. Others used electromagnetic pulses to disable electronic systems. A few simply rammed through enemy formations at high speed, their reinforced hulls smashing through the advanced but more delicate alien ships. "This isn't warfare," protested the Federation General. "There's no order to it, no proper formation, no honor. That's why they're winning," Elder Green replied. In the council chamber, representatives watched in shock as the mighty fleets of the Federation and Kingdom fell into chaos. Their advanced technology, designed for proper space warfare, proved useless against Earth's unconventional tactics. Tom Miller sat in his usual spot, calmly writing in a small notebook with an old-fashioned pen. Several representatives noticed he was drawing something that looked like a chessboard. "Checkmate in 3 moves," he muttered to himself. Right on cue, Admiral Walker's voice broadcast across all frequencies, cutting through even the communication jamming. "To all ships of the Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom, you are now surrounded, immobile, and cut off from communication with your commands. You have 2 options. 1. Power down your weapons and accept immediate surrender terms. 2. Learn why humans are the only known species to survive 3 extinction-level events on their home world. You have 5 minutes to decide. Regards, Admiral James Walker." In the council chamber, Elder Green's crystalline form vibrated with a mix of fear and admiration. "Now you understand," they said to the stunned representatives. "Humans don't fight to prove their strength. They don't fight for honor. They fight to win, using whatever works. And they just changed warfare forever." Tom Miller closed his notebook and stood up. As he walked past the Federation and Kingdom representatives, he smiled politely. "By the way," he said, "those were just our defensive tactics. Would you like to see what happens when we actually start fighting back?" Neither representative had the courage to answer. The Council's military analysis chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from 50 species gathered around the holographic displays, watching Earth's fleet systematically dismantle two of the galaxy's most powerful forces. "They're using their own ships as weapons," muttered a tactical expert, his compound eyes wide with disbelief. "No species does that. Ships are too valuable to sacrifice." "Look at this recording," another analyst called out. The display showed an Earth vessel deliberately venting its reactor coolant into space. The frozen liquid created an expanding ice cloud that disabled the sensors of 3 enemy ships. "They're breaking every rule of space combat," complained the Bronze Federation strategist. "You can't just throw garbage into space during a battle." Elder Green, watching from their usual corner, made a sound like crystals chiming. "Who made these rules? Did humans agree to them?" The room fell silent. On the main screen, Admiral Walker's fleet continued its unconventional assault. Earth ships would retreat, seeming to flee, only to lead pursuing vessels into carefully prepared traps. They used mining explosives as weapons, commercial satellites as jammers, and space debris as shields. "Their tactics make no sense," said the Star Kingdom's military advisor, her energy form flickering with frustration. "There's no pattern, no proper strategy." Tom Miller, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "Have you ever heard of guerrilla warfare?" The universal translator struggled with the term. "On Earth," Miller continued, "when a smaller force faces a larger one, they don't follow the expected rules. They use the environment, adapt quickly, and strike where the enemy least expects it." As if to prove his point, the display showed an Earth ship broadcasting what seemed to be random noise. 3 Kingdom vessels moved to intercept it, only to find their computer systems crashing from a hidden virus embedded in the transmission. "That's another violation," protested the Federation general. "Military signals must be properly encrypted." Miller smiled. "Says who?" In another sector, Earth ships were firing clouds of small, self-propelled devices. The aliens first thought they were missiles, but they proved to be simple repair robots, commonly used in shipyards. The robots attached themselves to enemy ships and began cutting through hull plates. "Maintenance equipment is not supposed to be used as weapons," whispered someone in horror. "Humans don't care what things are supposed to be," Elder Green explained. "They care about what works." The council chamber erupted in chaos when reports came in about Earth's latest tactic. They had modified several cargo ships to disperse clouds of tiny metallic strips. Simple technology had completely confused enemy radar systems. "It's just pieces of metal," shouted the Kingdom's admiral. "How can pieces of metal defeat our advanced sensors?" "The same way a stick can defeat a warrior who only trains against swords," Miller replied calmly. Hour by hour, the mighty fleets of the Federation and Kingdom were reduced to chaos. Their sophisticated weapons were useless against Earth's improvised tactics. Their perfect formations fell apart against enemies who refused to fight properly. In a desperate move, the Federation launched their newest battleship, equipped with the most advanced technology in known space. It lasted 6 minutes against 3 Earth corvettes that blinded its sensors with industrial mining lasers and then rammed it from multiple angles. "Stop this," begged the Federation's representative. "We'll negotiate." "Too late," Miller said, checking his watch. "Admiral Walker gave you a chance to surrender. You declined. Now you get to experience what humans call shock and awe." The main display lit up with new warnings. Earth's fleet had positioned itself in a complex formation that made no sense to alien tacticians. Then, on some unseen signal, every Earth ship fired its engines at full power. "What are they doing?" someone asked. Elder Green's crystalline form paled. "They're using their engine exhaust as a weapon. The radiation and heat. The Federation and Kingdom fleets, already damaged and disoriented, found themselves caught in a massive storm of engine plasma. Shields designed to stop energy weapons offered little protection against this crude but effective assault. In the stunned silence that followed, Miller stood up and straightened his tie. "By the way," he said to the room, "everything you've seen. Those are just our obsolete tactics from the last century. Would you like to see what we've recently developed?" No one dared to say yes. The surrender came faster than anyone expected. Both the Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom sent their messages within minutes of each other, their once proud fleets now scattered and disabled by Earth's unconventional warfare. The council chamber was packed for the peace negotiations. Everyone wanted to see what demands Earth would make of its defeated enemies. Admiral James Walker stood at the central podium, his simple blue uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate military dress of other species. He held a single sheet of paper. "Earth's terms are as follows," he began, his voice calm, as if discussing the weather. The room tensed. Everyone expected harsh penalties, massive reparations, or territory demands. What they heard instead shocked them more than any battle tactic. First, both parties will withdraw their military forces to their pre-conflict positions within 48 hours. The Federation and Kingdom representatives looked at each other in confusion. Second, a joint committee will be established to resolve the original trade disputes, with equal representation from both sides plus neutral observers. Elder Green's crystalline form shimmered with surprise. Third, both parties will contribute to a fund for civilian infrastructure repair in the affected sectors, focusing on helping those displaced by the conflict. That's it. The Federation's representative couldn't hide their disbelief. No territory claims. No war reparations. Admiral Walker looked up from his paper. "Why would we want those things?" "But you won the war," protested the Kingdom's delegate. "You could demand anything." "We didn't fight this war to gain territory or resources," Walker explained. "We fought it to stop it. Nothing more." Tom Miller, sitting in his usual spot, nodded quietly. He understood what the aliens couldn't grasp. Humans had learned long ago that the harshest peace terms often led to future wars. First Speaker White stood up. "The Council recognizes Earth's unusual wisdom in victory. But surely you must want something for your efforts." Walker smiled. "Actually, yes. We have one more condition." The room tensed again. Fourth, all signatories agree to participate in regular joint military exercises with Earth forces, focusing on disaster response and humanitarian aid missions. The silence that followed was deafening. "You want to teach us?" the Federation's general asked in disbelief. "We want to learn from each other," Walker corrected. "You have technologies we don't. We have strategies you don't. Together, we could be better prepared for real threats. Natural disasters, space anomalies, genuine aggressive species." Elder Green suddenly made a sound like laughing crystals. "Brilliant. They're not just ending this war. They're making sure there won't be another one." The truth dawned on the Council. By sharing military knowledge and training together, Earth wasn't just building peace, they were creating understanding. Future conflicts would be less likely if everyone trained together regularly. "Do you accept these terms?" Walker asked the warring parties. Both representatives practically raced to sign the agreement. As the council session ended, various species gathered in small groups, discussing what they'd learned about humans. They weren't the primitive species everyone had fought. They were something far more interesting: warriors who preferred peace, fighters who understood the value of restraint. Tom Miller and Admiral Walker walked together toward the exit. "They still don't quite understand us, do they?" Walker asked quietly. Miller shook his head. "They think we're either terrifying warriors or peaceful diplomats. They can't grasp that we're both." "Should we tell them about the other reason for the joint exercises?" Walker smiled. "You mean how it lets us keep an eye on everyone's military capabilities, while making it look like we're being friendly?" "No, Let them figure that out themselves. In the Great Archive, the records were already being updated. Earth's status was being revised from primitive but potentially dangerous to technologically developing, but diplomatically and strategically advanced. A junior archivist added one final note to the file: the species that learned to make peace because they understood war too well. The next day, 3 minor powers requested Earth's help in mediating their own disputes. They had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the most dangerous species make the best peacekeepers, because they know exactly what happens when peace fails. 1 year after the conflict, the Galactic Council looked very different. Earth's embassy had moved from the visitors' gallery to a permanent seat in the main chamber. Their simple blue flag stood among the elaborate banners of ancient spacefaring races. First Speaker White called the session to order, their silver skin gleaming under the artificial suns. Today marks 1 year since the Resolution Treaty. Let us review the changes. The main hologram displayed statistics that made many representatives shift uncomfortably in their seats. Interstellar conflicts, down 78%. Trade disputes resolved peacefully, up 156%. Joint military exercises conducted, 24. Emergency response time to disasters, improved by 60%. Most importantly, White continued, the phrase, "we should ask Earth's opinion," has become common in diplomatic channels. Several representatives chuckled nervously. They'd all either said it or heard it in recent months. Tom Miller sat at Earth's new council seat, still using his old-fashioned notebook. Beside him, Admiral Walker watched the proceedings with quiet interest. The joint military exercises have been particularly enlightening, reported the Bronze Federation's new general. Earth's approach to problem-solving is unique. The hologram showed images from recent exercises. Earth ships deliberately flying through asteroid fields to practice emergency maneuvers, crews training in zero gravity with primitive tools, teams competing to find creative solutions with limited resources. They don't just prepare for the expected, added the Star Kingdom's admiral. They prepare for everything going wrong at once. Elder Green, now head of the Council's Peace Committee, raised their crystalline form. Tell them about the pirates. The room grew quiet. Last month, a large pirate fleet had appeared on the outer rim, threatening several trading routes. Before the Council could even convene an emergency session, the pirates received a simple message. We hear you're looking for targets. Earth ships regularly pass through your current sector. Would you like to try your luck? Regards, Admiral James Walker. The pirates disappeared within hours. The humans have shown us a new way of maintaining peace, White announced, not through overwhelming force or advanced technology, but through, they paused, checking their translator, what they call reputation management. Miller smiled slightly. The aliens were finally understanding that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't its military. It was the galaxy's perception of how Earth would use that military. A junior representative raised their appendage. But what happens when new species join the Council? When they haven't learned about Earth? Show them the video, Walker suggested. The hologram changed to show footage from last week. A newly discovered species had threatened to attack their neighbors over a resource dispute. The Council's response was immediate. They played recordings of Earth's battle with the Bronze Federation and Star Kingdom. The new species requested peace talks within an hour. We've learned that the best wars are the ones that never happen, White concluded, thanks to Earth's unique perspective. As the session ended, Miller and Walker walked through the council halls. The other representatives no longer moved away in fear. Instead, they nodded respectfully. They're finally getting it, Walker said quietly. Miller nodded. That humans aren't just warriors or peacekeepers. We're both, because we've learned the true cost of conflict. In the Great Archive, a new section had been created, Earth's Principles of Interstellar Peace. The first line read, "The species that fights most effectively is often the one most dedicated to avoiding war." The last item on the council agenda that day was a minor border dispute between two small powers. Before anyone could speak, both representatives looked at Earth's seat. Miller didn't say anything. He didn't need to. Both representatives suddenly remembered they had a new trade agreement to discuss instead. As the council adjourned, Elder Green approached Miller. "You've changed how the galaxy thinks about peace and war," they said. Miller closed his notebook. "No, we just showed them what we learned on Earth centuries ago. Sometimes the best way to keep peace is to make sure everyone knows exactly what war would cost them." Above the council chamber, the artificial suns continued their eternal dance. But now they shone on a galaxy that was a little wiser, a little more cautious, and a little more peaceful. All because someone finally understood why you should never, ever make humans fight unless you're absolutely sure you're ready to lose.